Hey, welcome to this episode of Think Business. Looking forward to talking to Genady. Genady, it's great to connect with you. You're the co-founder of LillyPad, the next chapter in English learning, basically improving your English with an artificial intelligent tutor. Appreciate you taking time to talk about your product today and your services and what you do. I'm a business coach, and what I love about this podcast is I work with successful people and I get them unstuck. And I love having guests that can provide guidance and wisdom that can also get people unstuck. And artificial intelligence is a topic that I've talked about a lot with guests on this show. And so I want to kind of jump into that first. Your website is LillyPad.ai, but let's talk about, just the whole idea of what artificial intelligence is, just to get things started.
In general, you mean?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Okay, so of course the main idea behind artificial intelligence, or one of the main promises behind artificial intelligence, is how can we leverage different machine learning techniques or different access to a myriad of data sources in order to basically improve people's lives around the world, and maybe improve certain business processes or individual processes, and it spans millions of industries, and same as internet basically upgraded our way of life. I'm a true believer that this will be the same with this industry in a variety of spaces. And this is one of those spaces is education, and specifically for us, we're focusing on language learning.
Yeah. And so you take the technology of AI and you launch an innovative English learning platform, right? LillyPad.ai, which seems to marry most academically studied learning methodologies with AI to help students improve their English faster. And so talk about why you chose English.
So obviously the reason the English was the most straightforward area of focus, because English is the de facto global language, right? And anyone who wants to advance their career or life choices, they have to know English if they were not lucky to be born in the English-speaking environment. And according to different industry researches, there are around 1.5 billion people learning English. And whether it's true or not, regardless, it's a humongous number, because if you look at the internet content as well, majority of the material focuses or produced in English. So any professional or any individual who wants to do anything in this global world has to know this language. And from the financial, if you dissect the financial aspects of the language learning industry, by far English is the most spent language, if you will.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, and looking at it, so I totally hear why you're saying that, but I want to look at the idea of just learning and how people learn, because I'm always fascinated by it. I remember kind of the moment I learned how I learn. And I think learning how you learn is so critical. I was about 30 years old, and long story short, realized I wasn't sure what was going on with my learning. I did a 5-day test with my therapist and realized I was dyslexic. And so then I really understood how I learn. And so let's just talk about the power of learning and what you've learned about how people learn. I want to get a little bit into your app, but how did you learn how other people learn so you could then create an application so they could learn, like you say, faster?
It's a great question. Actually, there is a little bit of personal history in that application as well, is because I had to learn multiple languages in order to change countries and find where I want to live. And so I went through this experience on my own several occasions. And the reason we decided, or the reason we started this venture is because we believe that there is a lack of self-learning tools for advanced and intermediate language learners. Because in today's world, as soon as you finish acquiring fundamental skills, there are a lot of good applications out there that help you to develop fundamental skills like spelling, pronunciation, vocabulary, and so on. But as soon as you want to move to the next level, you are basically reaching a plateau from the application standpoint. And then you have to go into the tutor setting, courses setting, and so on. So we felt that for the intermediate and advanced learners, there is something that we can create. We basically, we can address that gap by creating an environment where you can marry, as you pointed out, most academically studied path towards achieving fluency, which is reading, actually. It's a very boring concept, but reading by itself is a very powerful tool to to develop your language fluency and proficiency. And if you marry it together with the state-of-the-art technologies of today, then you suddenly can create something very unique. And we created an artificial reading companion. And just think about it as a parent-child relationship. So if you think about the child just starting to learn how to read, they will read aloud, the parent will correct their mistakes, the parent will read, the child will mimic, and so on. There is this dynamic going on between two entities, basically. So with today's technologies, it's possible to mimic that a relationship and bring it to the adult world of adult language learners world. So suddenly a student can interact with the text, and by reading aloud, an artificial being, which we call Lily, will correct the student, will indicate what was pronounced correctly or incorrectly. They will read together, will read after each other, and so on. So this creates a very unique experience because it's a real-time feedback, and it allows the students to develop their inner voice, because on many occasions you know a lot of words, but you cannot speak. So you have to practice, and you have to practice in a forgiving environment where you're not feel ashamed that you're going to say something silly and so on. So this is a safe environment that allows you to do that with the real-time feedback and with basically ability to master your skills on the level of complexity that you wish. Because if you think about reading, you can read a very basic text, or you can read very sophisticated. I'll stop there. Sorry if I just flooded you.
No, that was good. That was a good review, and I love that you talk about creating a environment where people can hold on to their dignity, not feel any shame, and find their voice. I think that's one of the most important things, and have a tool that can validate and give them the confidence that their inner voice is there. I think it's great. Let's do a quick speed round, Genady. I see a lot of books behind you. Book that's had the biggest impact on you.
Man's Search for Me.
Viktor Frankl. Yeah.
Yes.
What was it about that book that I love that book. What was it about that book?
For me personally, I think it's the idea that you do not succumb to circumstance, and at the same time, you can find meaning in the most horrendous environments. That was quite revealing to me.
Yeah, that was an intense book. I feel the same way. And that mindset is everything. Mindset is everything. Yeah,
for sure.
The best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Probably to focus on what is in my control instead of worrying about everything else that is outside of it.
I love that. And finish the sentence. One thing that everybody needs to do when it comes to improving their English, even if English is their first language, is
read aloud, read with artificial beings.
Yeah. I mean, English is my first and pretty much only language, and I could use a ton of help with it still. So I appreciate it. Genady, I appreciate you taking time to share your thoughts. And community, we started off talking about, I'm a business coach. I work with people who are successful and get them unstuck. And that Genady was going to share some wisdom to get you unstuck. And you shared a lot of things, Genady, and I appreciate all of them. But a couple highlights for me are control what you can control and find your inner voice. And when you can really subscribe and own that, great things can happen, like starting your own company like you did, and growing in so many ways. So think community, LillyPad.ai. If you want to get to Genady's website. Genady, tell people who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you.
So our ideal clients are language learners who are not hobbyists, but someone who really needs to learn English because they want to improve their life or career.
Great. All right. Think community, appreciate everybody. If you know anybody that can utilize this service that will help them get unstuck, please do. Your product, Genady, seems is very transformational for many people. I always, you know, as a person and as a coach specifically, I always like to break things down to the easy. And you have broken it down to the easy and made it easier for people. So I appreciate that. Thanks, community. Thanks, Think community, and Genady. Thanks, man. This was great. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.